Hello and welcome to the LaLanne Pass It On podcast. My name is Greg Justice, and I am here with the real star of the show, Elaine, LaLanne. How are you today, Elaine?
Real star of the show. I don't think so. Anyway, yeah. Hey, we've got Tony Danza on, and there's things I didn't know about him. So let's hear what you've got to say about him.
Absolutely. Well, Tony Danza is a celebrated actor, television personality, and former professional boxer. He is best known for his iconic roles in TV series like Who's the Boss and Taxi, and Tony's charismatic presence has made him a household name. With a career spanning over 5 decades, he has also ventured into directing, producing, and even writing. Tony is passionate about fitness, wellness, and personal growth, making him a perfect fit for the LaLanne Pass It On podcast, where we're going to talk to him about his experiences, insights into healthy living, and the lessons he's learned throughout his diverse and inspiring career. Tony, it is great to have you as our special guest today.
Well, thank you. It's so good to be here, Greg, and thank you. Elaine, you look so beautiful. I can't take it. It's amazing. It's
Well, you
amazing.
know what? I found out something that I didn't know about you. You were a teacher. You you graduated from the University of Dubuque. See, I looked you up, and I didn't know that you were a boxer, a professional boxer. But before that, Jack was a wrestler, and when he was
Hmm.
14 years old, and that's how he found weights. He wrestled the guys at the YMCA, and he was able to look into the box, and there's a great big box with weights in it. Wow. And that's how we got started. But anyway, we want to know about your teaching career, and then how you got there. And then of course we want to know all about your stars of tomorrow, because that is
Oh,
one of your big projects right now.
it
So
really is.
let's hear about your
Well, first of all,
how did you
I know Jack was a wrestler because every time you'd run into Jack LaLanne, like anytime he'd grab you and he'd start, he'd bend you around a little bit, I miss
yeah.
him a lot. I was thinking back about when I had him on the show and I wore
the
that
the joy the juicer.
yes, yes, I wore it, but the
Oh,
juicer,
the
but
gym.
I
Oh,
wore that
that's right.
outfit, that one piece outfit that he wore when he did his fitness show back when my mother used to watch it. Um, but listen, I was a fighter. I got out of college. I was supposed to be a teacher, and I just didn't think I was old enough to teach or knew enough to teach anybody anything. I just wasn't. I just didn't feel confident enough about it. And then my friends entered me in the Golden Gloves, and I almost won it. And then I turned pro, and I had 15 pro fights, and I won 12 of them. And then a guy came into the gym in Gleason's gym on 30th and 8th Avenue and asked me if I ever thought about being on TV. And that guy got me a screen test, and somehow I ended up in Jim Brooks's office, and he was reading guys for an Irish heavyweight named Phil Ryan for a show Taxi, and he made it an Italian middleweight after they met me, and I got the show. Um, I just been very fortunate.
You got Was that taxi?
Yeah, that was Taxi. Jim Brooks changed my life, gave me that show, and I've been, like you said, 50 years now. It's unbelievable. It's really wow.
Now, where did the time go?
Where did it go? It's crazy. It really is. Hey, by the way, my daughter Katie just had a little girl, Rosie. We had a little baby girl this month. So,
Oh,
yeah,
congratulations!
thank you.
And is she the fitness trainer?
Yeah, no, that's the other one. That's Emily. Emily's the fitness trainer.
Yeah,
Emily's the yoga. Yeah, she's the killer. Emmy works. It's called.
yeah.
Um, and I've been singing and dancing a lot. I've been working at the Carlisle over here, and I've been working on this TV show, which is really terrific. That is on Stars. It's called Raising Canaan. So I've been busy, Elaine. I just been trying to, and I'm taking piano lessons, and I'm writing a play. So I'm trying to,
But
trying to.
you tap dance. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
I saw you tap dancing, and you're terrific.
Well,
You know,
thank you.
I wanted to be a tap dancer when I was
Did
young.
you?
I took tap, you know, but so I was so impressed with your tap dancing and
Yeah,
your
I'm doing it a
singing.
while. I learned from a guy named Pat Rico, one of the greats. I was in taxi and we pretended to tap dance in a show we did. And on the way home that day, I said, I gotta learn how to do this. So I pulled into Moral Landis and asked the guy if there was a tap dance teacher. He says, yeah, he's in the back. So I go in the back and there's this little guy. He's got a beret on. He's smoking a cigarette. He's got a jacket on. Sitting in the corner. I said to him, hey, you the tap dance teacher? He says, yeah. I said, well, I'm thinking about taking lessons. He said, oh, come on in. I'll put on some music. We'll dance. I said, well, I don't know how to dance. He said, that's all right. We'll put on some music. We'll dance. And he got me dancing right away. And I've been doing it ever since. That's 83.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I
I
love it. I just love it. And now, you know what I did? I have this acting program here in the city called the Stars of Tomorrow Project.
yes, right.
And I actually I made a tap dance ensemble as part of it. So we got a bunch of kids who I taught like a routine. It's basically the Shim Sham, and it goes to New York, New York, and they come out and they dance. It's wonderful.
The first thing I ever learned was the time step.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah, the first thing I learned was the essence step. Da-da, 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 da-da.
Shuffle up to Buffalo.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah.
Greg, did you
I
ever
just
have it?
danced. I just danced the other night. We did a show with the kids at the Triad Theater on 72nd
I
Street here.
know that was a big hit, wasn't it?
It really went. It was a magical evening. But I was standing there, and towards the end of the show, there's a kid she's about 18. Her name is Jade Rivers, a wonderful singer, shy, doesn't want Tony. Don't, no, don't do. Oh no, So I got her to come out. And I said, "Come on, Jade, come sing with me." And then she said, "Well, come on, dance." And it was "Fly Me to the Moon," and then I was in the middle of it, so I had to dance. So I got to do a little stuff, I mean, let me tell you something. Tap dancing really changed my life in so many ways because, first of all, it told me, if you could do this, you might be able to do something else. And it was, and I learned late in life. I think I was 32 when I started. Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
Hey, by the way, I just want to say for anybody who's watching, I'm not usually look like this. So I was working out. I forgot I was going to be all dressed for 2:30, but it was 2 o'clock. And so I got off the bike. I'm sweating. My shirt's all ripped. My hair. All right. So I need
Tony,
to shave.
nobody,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize.
your personality is so great. Nobody
Elaine.
cares what you're wearing.
Well, I just want to dig in a little more about your Stars of Tomorrow project, Tony. Tell us what that's about. And I know you just recently had a big gala in New York.
In 2011, I came back to New York, and I really I wanted to volunteer. I wanted to do something with some kids. I feel like the country, both privately and publicly, both governmentally and the private sector, we've sort of forgotten about our responsibility to nurture our children. I mean, if you think back when I was on TV, there was a family hour. We used to think about this stuff. We don't now. They're just customers like everybody else. They can see, buy, do whatever they want, and it worries me. It worries me, and so I decided to. I went to one organization called the All Stars. I worked there for 2 years, and I met Brian Hills, and then Brian Hills and I developed a thing called Youth Development through Performance. Because when you teach a kid how to act, you teach a kid how to act. Get it? So we
Yeah.
did this, and we went to the Police Athletic League, and we were with PAL for 8 years. We engaged maybe 5,000 kids. We got about 200 of them in college, and it was great. But I really wanted to go out on my own, and so we got a 501(c)(3). We're a legitimate nonprofit. Um, I got 80 kids in the semester work that starts this week. 80. And I'm like, holy mackerel. Because the need is so out there. And basically, what we're just trying to do is it's not only acting, it's life, it's wellness. I mean, we added this wellness component to it, where now we're taking the kids shopping for groceries and then renting a kitchen on 57th Street, sur la table, and teaching them how to cook what we bought. And it's unbelievable because one of the things you learn when you're with kids, you work with kids, is what they don't know, they don't know. Even if all of us know it, they don't. And then the other thing I'm really worried about is when I taught school in 29 and 2010 in Philadelphia. Ironically, I taught 10th grade English, but I taught, there, and phones were a problem. The phones were a problem. I was constantly, give me that, put that away, that. But now, when we go to the schools, I notice a real, like, a finalization of the addiction. I mean, it's like the only socialization. First of all, that's all they're doing is staring at them. The only social interaction is when they show each other the phone. I mean, it's really it's frightening, and I think this, there's a movement right now called the Luddite movement, which is a students who want to get rid of their phones and just get phones that can, like flip phones as opposed to smartphones. And I
Yeah.
think, I think about my childhood and what it would have been like if I was averaging 7 to 9 hours a day looking at a screen. And by the way, able to look at anything on that screen too, by the way. I
Yeah.
mean, there's no restrictions. So that's what the program is. The program is an attempt to give these kids something else to think about. And let me tell you, the metamorphosis is incredible. So you have a kid come to the class, comes to the program. First of all, it's free. So that's one reason they come free. And they're not really interested in college. A lot of them know college, with acting. I don't know. Let me see. Maybe there's girls there. I don't know. But anyway, they come and it's really hard to get them involved. Well, but this kid, Brian Hills, that I work with, he's the kid whisperer. Kids spend a week with him. You say to that same kid, you say to that kid who was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Now you say to him, how's it going? He says, I have to support my ensemble. I mean, it's that crazy. It's amazing because if you give these kids something like this, they grab on and hold on to it tight.
From teacher to teacher,
Yeah, well,
back, your teacher. Now you're ending up as a teacher.
you know something, I'm actually teaching this semester. I'm going to teach a couple of classes this semester. I was thinking of a good class just to show you what I was thinking of. I want to get a book of all those cliches and sayings that we grew up on that they've never heard. They don't even know any of that stuff. You say to a kid, two wrongs don't make a right. They're like, what? It's like, it's what I mean, but they don't know. So you got to teach them. You got to tell them. So it's that kind of class, It's like, I mean, we do scenes and we do scene work. But I'm thinking about, I want to know what's going on in their heads. I want to know, I want to, I have this real problem. Just ask my grandkids, they'll tell you is that I feel this tremendous responsibility to young people to let them know, hey, I made this mistake. Don't make it. Like, I'll give you an example. I was in a gym with all these old guys boxing, all the great trainers and everything else. And every day, boom, boom, you'd hit the bag, bang, 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 and you'd hit that bag hard. And really, you were showing off to show how hard, how tough you are, and everything else. Not one guy, nobody said to me, you hit and keep hitting it like that, you're gonna hurt you. Someday it's gonna hurt when you get older. Because now my wrist really hurt. Not one guy said that. So I don't understand why somebody wouldn't say, hey, and that's what I feel like it's our responsibility as people who have gone through it and made the mistakes and suffered and now maybe can save somebody from that experience.
Yeah, Jack was a great one for the mind, right, Greg? Your mind is a mine. It's full of diamonds, and all you have to do is dig them up.
Yeah, yeah.
And so this is what you're doing. You're helping those kids dig up those diamonds in their minds.
Elaine, listen to this. So at that event we also had a kid. This kid's name was Daniel Hernandez. Came to us when he was 16. Came, like I said, was no totally convinced he didn't want to go to college, and it's free. So he comes, and he stayed for a semester, and we loved him. He was a good kid and a really terrific actor. And then he disappeared on us. And one of the people that work with us, her name is Bijou Lucalo, and she's auntie to the kids because she will find you. And she found him, brought him back, and got him in, and we got him into SUNY Purchase. We've built some incredible relationships with colleges because a lot of colleges want to diversify their their student bodies, but they want to know who the kids are. And we give them good kids and kids that really want to work. And so Daniel goes to SUNY Purchase. And by the way, we arranged for his money and we arranged for his financing too, it's another thing Bijou does.
Does Stars
But
and Tomorrow pay for
Well,
that?
we don't pay it, but we go where the scholarships are, and the schools are very, very helpful. It's been amazing. So anyway, he finished, he graduated, and he made his debut on Broadway in Romeo and Juliet this month. How
Oh,
about
for
that?
goodness sakes. Oh my gosh.
I know, amazing. And when we went to see, I took a bunch of kids to see the show, and it was terrific. I mean, there's a very athletic version of Romeo and Juliet, young people climbing and everything. But anyway, he brought all the cast out after the show, and we had a talk back with our kids and the cast. And he said to these kids, he says, "That's where I come from. That's the Stars of Tomorrow project." So we were thrilled. We were thrilled.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing that sounds most wonderful about it, Tony, is that you talk about acting and life skills in general and wellness. It's a holistic approach.
Right.
It's about the whole human being, not just one component.
Exactly. And you know what? So much of what's interesting though is think about acting. So in order to be a good actor, you got to be present, got to look people in the eye, got to speak clearly. This is big. You got to be part of something bigger than yourself. And so much of what the kids listen to today and watch today it's wrapped in female empowerment, it's wrapped in social justice, but it's about one thing, the self. Don't mess with me. Don't disrespect me. Don't step on my sneakers, whatever. And it makes it very hard to resolve conflicts when it's all about you. So this is what we try to do. Try to reach them in a lot of different. One of my favorite classes I ever did. I was going to do it again this year. Because when the kids got there today, I said, I got a question before we go. I want to start. I said, anybody ever had their heart broken in the class? Well, you want to see an acting class. Holy mackerel. And you get to hear what's really on their minds, what's really concerning them,
See the mind.
what's really, and listen, childhood today compared to the childhoods we had it's not even close.
Oh,
I
no.
mean, I think about my childhood in the 50s and 60s in the East New York section of Brooklyn. I lived on Pickett Avenue. It was the toughest neighborhood in the world, but it was the greatest place in the world to grow up. And
Huh.
nobody
We
was
used to
rich,
play kick
but
the
nobody
can.
was
Did you ever
desperate.
play kick the can?
Well, how about Ringalivio, Johnny on a Pony, Scalzi? I got a million of them. How about the hit the penny? How about Chinese handball? Like that you had, Chinese handball was when you had to bounce it first before it hit the wall. Like they do it that way in China. What the hell? Who made up that name? No, it was a
Oh,
good, but it was a great. It was a great because, like I said, nobody was rich. Everybody was sort of poor, but nobody was desperate, and that's the difference. I read a survey here about 6 months ago about New York that said 50% of everybody who lives in New York can't make ends meet. Well, how can you have a safe, happy city when people are desperate like that? And that's what I say. You know, I did a joke the other day. It was so cold, New Yorkers were making eye contact. That's how cold it was here. Well, well, it's very hard to be considerate of anybody when you're in trouble, when you're
yeah.
thinking about your stuff. It's hard to think about anybody else. And so I think that's part of what's going on here too.
You have to first like yourself. So
Well, it's hard though,
like
Elaine.
somebody
Remember,
else.
But remember, that's you. See, that's you coming from your background. You're right. You're absolutely right. It's just harder to like yourself now because it's harder to get. My
Yeah.
kids, my
Ju-
kids all went to college, all excelled, all went to great college. They're struggling like everybody else. They're struggling, and
yeah.
so that's not the way it's supposed to be. Remember, it was supposed to be that each succeeding generation did better than the preceding one. But
Yeah.
we don't care about that anymore because we got to have 10 guys that have billions.
Yeah. Greg, did you ever play? What games did you play when you were young?
Yeah, we did the kick the can and hide and seek, of course, and I haven't
Greg,
heard of some of those that Tony talked about. I have to
you
look
never heard of
those.
Ring Olivio? Greg, let me tell you something. In East New York and Brooklyn, when I was a kid, the real game we played, besides all those games, punch ball, stick ball, everything else, was fighting.
There
We
you go.
fought. That's
Yeah.
what we did. I
Yeah.
swear it used to be like, hey, you want to play stickball today? Nah, let's fight. And in order to fight, all you had to do was walk into somebody else's neighborhood. The
Yeah.
black guys were at East New York Vocational High. The Puerto Rican guys were at Logan and Fulton. The white guys were in Ozone Park. I mean, it was crazy. And it got to the point, I'm not kidding you. It got to the point where you would pick a guy from each side and everybody else would watch.
Yeah. Well,
Great.
I
But Elaine, I'm sorry, excuse me. The great news was nobody ever got shot. And
no.
once you had a fight, most times you ended up being friends.
We used to have fights, but we were still friends, And I thought I wanted to be like my brother, so I used to fight with all the boys. And then Mrs. Freer, our neighbor, used to say to my mother, "When is Elaine gonna grow up?" I was like 12, and then I got to be 13. I decided I think I better be a girl. I mean, I better be more feminine or
No,
whatever.
no, I get it. I
No
get it.
more, no more fighting out there, wrestling and whatnot. But if we'd fight, we were still friends.
No, it was such a different thing. It takes a lot of guts to get in a fight on a sidewalk. It really does. And
Yeah,
so that you respected the other guy as much as he respected you. It was, I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. And plus, remember, all the TV and movies we were watching, John Wayne was punching somebody or Jimmy Cagney. So that's the way they settled things.
yeah, right. Yeah.
It's good days gone by.
Well,
Well,
Greg, I wanted to bring up this morning. What did you do this morning, Greg? He's fighting I call him Tarzan.
yeah, yeah,
He's fighting
I'm
the
fighting gravity.
yeah.
Fighting gravity. No, Tony, I do American Ninja Warrior. In fact, I'm on this new season of American Ninja
Oh,
Warrior.
do you? No kidding.
And yeah, so they need the token old guy. So I'm 64 years old. So I'm the token old guy swinging through the airs and trying not to hurt myself. So
At 60, it's funny. At 64, I still was pretty. I was talking to a girl that I met a long time ago, and she told me that I told her I was 65, but I wasn't dead yet when I met her. So that must have been my rap. But you know what's happened? I'm a bit older than that now, and it's really interesting how you slowly but surely you give things up that you used to do. And I used to be an inline skater. I used to skate all over the city. I loved it so much, and the park is right there. So, but now I used to
Roller
say
skate or ice skate?
inline, rollerblades,
Oh, well, rollerblades.
feet. So
yeah.
you used to say no falls, excuse my language, no balls. But now if I fall, I'm in a hospital, so I can't do it anymore. You know, so I can't do that.
But you're still active and that's the beauty of it. The key is motion is lotion, and you've got to keep those joints lubricated. And Tony, you may appreciate this. Do you remember Tony Horton, the P90X guy?
Yes, I do.
He and I are writing a book called Vitality 60 Plus, which is a book about living the best of your life from 60, 70, 80, 90, and
Hmm.
beyond. Our first interview for the book
Will be
was this
Elaine.
beautiful, radiant lady on the podcast. Yeah, she was our first.
I
Gotta
would have,
have, maybe he
if
could
you
make a
didn't do
comment.
that, you would, yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
God, that was a no-brainer.
yep,
Hey,
yep.
how about you making a comment on that book?
But sure, let me see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're writing it. It's going to come out about the same time as my episode on American Ninja Warrior this
I'll keep
June.
an eye out for that.
Yeah,
Well, keep an eye
very
out
good.
for
Very
that.
good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
let's do a little trip down memory lane.
Sure.
So you said Taxi was your very first TV show, correct?
Right.
Tell us about that experience.
Let me tell you how I get the part. How's
Yes.
this? How's that? So, um, it's a little convoluted, but anyway, I had gotten an agent. This guy had gotten me an agent, the guy who saw me in the gym. And the agent called me up one day and he said, I have an audition for you. It's an open call for the Warriors. They're going to do a musical about it now. It was a gang picture and an open call for the Warriors. So I said, oh, okay. So I was fighting at the time, and I was fighting my first main event. I was fighting at Prospect Hall in Brooklyn, not exactly Madison Square Garden, but I was fighting, and it was my first main event. And it was Friday night, and it was Wednesday was the audition. So I went into the audition, and it was a long. Oh, by the way, an open call for a gang picture in New York. I remember a lot of feathers. Anyway, it was crazy. Anyway, so I go in and it's a long conference table. And I had never, I was not I hadn't read a lot and been to auditions. It was like, one of my first. And I walked in, it was a long conference table. And at the end was Joel Silver, John Milius, and Larry Gordon. I mean, three of the biggest producers. Okay. And so I read, and I finish reading, and they say, thank you very much, which is what they do. And I said, hey, excuse me. I said, one more thing. I said, if you really want to see a warrior, and do you remember back then when I was fighting in the 70s and 70s and yeah, 70s, they had posters. Remember they had those posters? And it would have the first fighters on the bottom, the next fighter, and then the big guys would be at the top. Well, I had the poster for my first main event with me. And I unfurled it and I said, you really want to see a warrior? You should come see me fight. And I unfurled the poster and had my picture, tough Tony Danza, Brooklyn's knockout artist on the thing. So they go, wow, you're a fighter? I said, yeah. When you fight, I said, this Friday night. I said, we're going to come. They said, we're going to come. So they come to the fight. They sit through 5 boring fights. It wasn't a great card. It was in this place called the Prospect Hall. It used to be an opera house that they turned into a boxing arena, and then it was a wedding house. We make your dreams come true. It was a long time. It was around, and I think they tore it down or something. But anyway, they come to the fight, and I was fighting a guy from my gym. His name was what the hell was his name? I can't remember. Anyway, we didn't like each other because I thought he was a light heavyweight. We were in the same gym, so I see him all the time. And I thought he was a light heavyweight masquerading as a middleweight. Anyway, so he comes, can't remember his name, it's bothering me. Anyway, we go to the weigh-in, and he's 8 pounds overweight. He's 68, I'm 60. And the commissioner said, you don't have to fight, he's overweight, but I'm afraid that the promoter wouldn't have enough rounds, so I'm going to fight the guy. So I take the fight. I said, I'll fight the guy. So this guy does a Muhammad Ali. He starts screaming, that's your mistake. You'll see. He does all this stuff. So I was pissed. I was mad. So I was real good when you came to me because I like to bang. But if you ran around, if you were a cutie, you could make me look bad. But this guy comes right to me. And they're there. Everybody from the movies there. And the bell rings, and he comes right at me, and I nailed him a couple of times. He nailed me, I nailed him, and then 40 seconds later, he was in the front row. I knocked him out into the front row, and yeah, I know it's great. You can see it if you want. It's on YouTube. Put Tony Danza fight, you'll see it. You'll get a kick. So, so I was walking around the ring full of adrenaline. And Larry Gordon was on the floor, and our eyes met, and he mouthed, "That's the greatest audition I've ever seen." So I get the part.
So you get the part.
So I go to Gulf and Western, which owned Paramount at the time. I go to Gulf and Western for wardrobe, and I'm like, holy mackerel! 1 minute I'm fighting in Prospect Hall, next minute I'm going to be in a major motion picture. All of a sudden, somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, are you Tony Danza?" And I said, "Oh God, I knew this was too good to be true. I thought the jig was up." He said, "No, no, they want to see you on the 22nd floor in in Gretchen Rennell's office. I don't know who she is. She's a casting lady. Okay. I get in the elevator. I go up. The elevator opens to a waiting room. Okay. And in the waiting room, there's like 20 guys, all blonde, 200 pounds, big guys. I'm like, I'm in the wrong place. But the hostess, I mean, the receptionist sees me, the door standing there, and she said, "Excuse me, you Tony Danza?" And I go, "Oh yeah." She said, "Oh, they're waiting for you." So now I'm walking by these guys. They were all like, "Who the hell is this guy?" You know what I mean? I walk into the room, and in the room is Jim Brooks, James L. Brooks, and for those of you who don't know, it's Terms of Endearment. It's As Good as It Gets. It's Taxi. It's Mary Tyler Moore. I mean, it goes on and on. Anyway, he's standing there, and he's reading Mandy Patinkin, the actor, for the role that Judd Hirsch ended up with for Alex. So I read with Mandy Patinkin. I mean, you got to understand. I'm not an actor. I just walk. Oh, and by the way, I had a black eye and my hand was in a cast because I broke my hand on a guy's head. So anyway, I read, and he likes it. He likes me, and he says, and he walks me out. And this was kind of embarrassing. This happened. This is naivete. So he says to me, "Oh," he says, "I loved your work." Very enthusiastic. And I was befuddled because I don't know what work I did. Did I sweep? What did I didn't do anything. I didn't pick anything up. What work? So funny, I get in a cab and I'm feeling pretty good. So I say to the cab driver, I say, "Hey, I think I got a TV show." And remember, this is 70, 7. This is when if you got TV show, you were like, forget it. Rarefied air. I say to the cab driver, I say, "Hey, I think I got a TV show." He goes, "No kidding, congratulations." I says, "There's only one thing." I said, "It's bothering me. This guy told me he loved my work." As I went out, I don't know what he was talking about. And the cab driver says to me, "What, are you stupid?" He says, "He's talking about your acting." I said, "Oh, Jesus Christ." What a dope I was. But I had to choose between the movie and the series. And luckily, I think I chose the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That happened to me when I was modeling in San Francisco, and television had just started. It was coming on at 6 o'clock at night. And so I go out and get in this taxi and go up to the transmitter, and all these beautiful girls. Oh my God! My son he's now 76 years old, and so he was just a baby, and so I went into this thing, and I thought, oh my God, what am I doing here? And so they went, and so I have to open the bag of groceries, take the bread out, smell the bread, and say, good. I got the job. I've been in television ever since.
There you go, Elaine. Well, that's what happened to me too. I mean, basically, that's it. It's crazy, crazy.
And then going full circle, now you've got a new TV series. Tell us about that because I was researching into that. It looks fascinating.
Oh, it's something else. It's a family show, but much different than Who's the Boss. So it's called Raising Canaan, and it's on the Stars Network, and it stars Patina Miller, a wonderful, wonderful actress, and she's the head of the crime family, and she's trying to raise her son, Mackay Curtis, and I play a bad guy, which is really fun. I play this guy named Stefano Marchetti, and I'm a wise guy, and but the work. Let me tell you, I was it was during the pandemic. I get a call from my agent. He says, "Look, they want you to do a scene on this show." I said, "What is it?" Because I'm dying to do something. It was the pandemic, man. So he sends me the script, and I see what it is, and I have had all my career, I've been lucky that I haven't had to play a lot of wise guys, a lot of the Italian trope. I haven't had to do that, and I'm conscious of it. It bothers me a little bit, and I'm glad I haven't had to. Like a lot of my friends, that's the only job there is. That's the job. You want it? Okay. But this was that job. So I said, I don't think so. And then I said, wait a minute, who's the actor? Because it was a two-hander. And the guy says, my agent says it's Michael Rispoli, who's a wonderful actor. I said, let me go do a scene with Michael Rispoli. That'll be great. So I went. I came back. I called my agent and said, they're never going to buy me as the bad guy. I had a really bad, tough scene. But then they called and they hired me back, and I've been on the show ever since. It's called Raising Kanan. It's one of the Power Book shows that 50 Cent's the rapper started. His son plays Kanan. He plays Makai is his son. Wonderful kid. And it's just, I think if it was on HBO or Netflix, everybody'd be talking about it. Not just because I'm on it, but it's it's the best. Look, I've been in this business for a while. I can tell when I'm in something good. The writing's good, the acting's good, the production's good. It's just really, and at this stage of my career, I felt like it was a gift. Greg, I really did. I really felt, and
Yeah.
it's been wonderful. And it dropped Friday, the fourth season, and I rewatched the episode because it's terrific. It really is.
Yeah.
It's very engaging and it's fascinating. It really is.
And
You
they
know,
can watch it on Stars, right?
Yes, they can watch it on Stars. I think the first couple of years are on the first two seasons may be on Prime. I think you can watch it on Roku, and I yearn for. I say this to a friend of mine. She says to me, "Should I go get some? Should we go buy some coffee? We're gonna go buy Starbucks or something." I says, "I come from a generation where TV was free and we made coffee. What happened?"
Yeah.
Oh, God. They've got us coming and going, I'm telling you.
Well, are you doing any? Do you still sing? Are you still singing and
Yeah,
dancing?
I'm in Delray Beach in April. Um, I just played Red Bank, New Jersey last week at the Count Basie Center for the Arts. It was fun. It was fun. The Vogel. I wrote a new show. I wrote a show called Sinatra and Stories, and I
Oh,
recount some of my experiences with the greatest, and I get to sing some of his songs and dance some dances,
so
and
you're not, so you're still going. Well, Jack and I don't know. There's something about that uh, uh, song that you sang uh, was it Roma?
oh yeah, yeah. Come bella c'è la luna.
Yeah, but the beat was like da, 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 it was the beat was so great. And then I was looking it up.
Wait, you know what I love the line, Elaine? The line.
Uh,
Do they take him for espresso? Yeah, I guess so. On each other's arms, a girl I used to know on an evening in Roma.
yeah, it's
Ah, it's wonderful. Well, the greatest guy, Dean Martin. That's a Dean Martin
I
song.
know we knew Dean
Oh,
very well, but I think your version had a little. They remastered Dean's song. I looked it up, and it's not the same, but because it's got this more of a pounding beat.
are you saying that you like my version better than Dee's? Is that where we're
Yes.
going? Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So anyway, well,
Hey, if you go online, Peter Sincotti, I don't know if you know him, he's a good friend of mine, a great guy, piano player, songwriter. He and I have a new song. It's online. It's called One Too Many.
oh really?
Yeah, One Too Many. It's about a couple of guys who are out for the night. And it's
Okay.
it's wonderful. It's really fun to do. He's
Okay.
really gifted and
Well,
he's been fun.
we
And then
all.
you know what else? You know that there's another thing you might want to look at. I did a thing with the. Do you know who the Gypsy Queens are? They're an international group, and the lead singer's name is Dee Dee. He's terrific, and we did one. What the heck's the name of the song? I can't remember. It's one of those songs, like Evening in Roma. Gee, I can't remember. Well, look up Gypsy Queens Tony Danza. Gypsy Queens Tony Danza. There you go.
Okay. All right. Uh, well, we all have, everybody has their own thing. Everybody that's even listening today, you are a star in your own right because you're individualized. There's nobody like you.
I try to tell the kids that at the program. You know,
Oh, really?
I tell young actors all the time, I say, listen, I tell you what you got to do. It's very simple. It really is. Number one, learn your lines.
Yeah.
Learn your lines. You can't be free unless you know them like they have to tumble out of you like they're yours. That's one. And the other thing is you have to believe, truly believe, that nobody can do what you can do. You know, I can't do what Greg can do. I can't do what you can do, La, but
No.
I can't do what I can do. And if I
Yeah.
really believe that when I'm working and I don't get in my own way, boy, it takes a lot of pressure off.
I do too. I do too. You know, on our lectures, Jack and I used to do a lot of lectures, and I'd say, how many people believe Black Jack believes? You know, because he was so dynamic when he talked. And they'd go, ah, and I say, how would you like to hear him sing? I believe, and so they kind of go, and then he a cappella he sang, I believe,
Yeah.
and it's he's right on key. Every musician's ever heard him sing and played for him, they'd say, my God, he sings right on button, right on the button.
Yeah.
And so
He's something else. I mean,
uh,
he
so that's
was,
how we used to get our standing ovations.
yeah, I bet. I bet. No, and deservedly so, too, by the way. You and him. You and him. Great.
Well, hey, Tony, thank you so much for spending this last hour with us. We
It's my
so much
pleasure.
appreciate it.
I'm
Um,
sorry I was late. I'm
no,
sorry.
no,
Oh,
that's perfectly fine. We really appreciate you sharing some of the memories and would love for you to tell us where people can learn more about you.
and
Well,
about your new projects.
well, about certainly about the Stars of Tomorrow.org is the Stars of Tomorrow Project.org, excuse me. That's one place for sure. And then you go to my website, it'll tell you where I'm playing and what's going on in my life.
What is it? TonyDanza.com?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, simple. Like me. Like me.
Like JackElaine.com,
Yeah.
TonyDanza.com. So you can't think.
I miss Jack. I really do miss him. I do miss him. I really mean it.
He
I
was
think about
so
all the times
funny. He really was
we'd
funny.
run into each other at a gala or something, and he'd start wrestling with me, you know. Like, well, it's so good to see you, La.
It's good to see you,
Stay
Tony.
just the way you are, okay?
Oh yeah.
All
One
right.
time I
Great.
was,
Thank you very much.
yeah,
Thank you,
God
Tony.
bless.
Elaine, I'll leave it up to you to close us out.
Well, I want to tell a story. One time I was in New York having dinner at Patsy's, and all of a sudden the owner comes over and says, Tony Danza's on the line. And of course, everybody was sitting with me with, what? Tony Danza's on the line for you.
Well, he told
He
me
heard you were
I must have called and he said, you know, LaLanne's here. I said, well, let me talk to her.
yeah, that's what happened. Anyway, Tony,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
All right. I love you
And
very much, Lane.
uh,
Bye bye,
keep
guys. Thank
on,
you.
keep on keeping on.
Yes, ma'am. Keep punching, and keep your chin down.